Investing in gold doesn't have to be complicated. I'm Colin Plume, the CEO of Noble Gold Investments, and I want to take the time to show you how investing in a gold IRA can help you hedge your bets against inflation and other economic concerns on the horizon. Visit Noble Gold Investments and get our free gold investment guide on buying gold the right way. And make sure you're investing with the right company. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com.
Good Palm Sunday afternoon. I'm still reporting on the coup. According to congressional investigators, Chinese banks are being forced to reveal how shady money transfers were made to Joe Biden and family from multiple nations around the world. According to New York Post columnist Miranda Devine and Peter Schweitzer, the president of the Government Accountability Institute, initially, overseas banks were resisting congressional subpoenas for documents on the Biden's financial transactions. But as more negative information has come forward, the banks are now starting to cooperate with top reporters and Congress, and the picture does not look good.
The only bank records we got, and this is pretty interesting, we got them from Cathay Bank. You know, is that the Chinese Communist Party? Is that a shot across President Biden's bow, saying, "Listen, this is some of the information we have. If you don't toe the line, if you don't do things that please us, we're going to even provide even more information."
Wow, that was Wisconsin Republican Senator Ron Johnson on this program last weekend, revealing that Chinese American-owned Cathay Bank was the only financial institution forthcoming with his request for documents related to the Biden family business dealings and influence peddling. The records show millions of dollars transferred from Chinese partners to Biden partners and then Biden family members. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer reporting the new bank records now reveal Biden partner Rob Walker received a $3 million wire from Chinese energy firm CEFC, and the next day distributed more than $1 million of that to Biden family members. Joining me right now is the New York Post columnist Miranda Devine and Peter Schweitzer. He is the president of the Government Accountability Institute. Great to see you both. Miranda is the author of The Laptop from Hell, while Peter is the author of Red-Handed. Both books must-reads, and they are both bestsellers. Miranda, let me kick it off with you. Get your reaction to that statement from Ron Johnson. Cathay Bank was the only bank to provide any records. We spoke with Cathay Bank. This is Chinese Americans who founded this bank, and they serve the Chinese American community. They say they have nothing to do with the CCP, Miranda.
Yes, I think that the banks have been very difficult, and to extract these bank records from them, even though fully lawfully and with a subpoena, I know that James Comer's Oversight Committee did have some resistance, although that is now declining and they seem to be getting full cooperation from most of the banks. And they are just methodically going through, forensically, finding the money trail that shows the huge millions of dollars, huge sums coming from China as well as other countries into Biden family coffers. And the wire that you just mentioned is particularly notable because it's obviously the payments have been made in a way to disguise them. They were funneled, first of all, through a proxy, through Rob Walker, the Biden family intimate, and then they were parceled out over 3 months in small increments to 5 different accounts associated with 4 different Biden family members, immediate family members of Joe Biden. And this money was paid just a few weeks after Joe Biden was no longer the vice president, and it was money paid to the Biden family for work they had done in the last 2 years of his vice presidency. So it's very fishy, and there's plenty more where that came from.
Peter, you have new information in terms of this story, the cover-up of Biden family influence peddling.
Yeah, my colleague Seamus Bruner just came out with a story a couple of days ago looking at how the Biden family operates internally when it comes to these kinds of dealings. In this particular case, it involves the Biden Center set up at the University of Delaware. And in the internal discussion among family members with the universities and with intermediaries, They talk about the fact that, how are the salaries going to be dispersed? They talk about the fact that they don't want actually Joe Biden himself to sign on to the memorandum of understanding for the center that's named after him. They want a family member to do it instead. And then there's a discussion about dispersing the spoils. Just to piggyback on what Miranda said, these financial transactions involving China are fishy in so many ways. Not only the fact that it involves intermediaries, but when you look at the emails, you look at the sort of agreements around the transfer of these funds, they don't entail really any sort of business work on behalf of the Bidens. And when Hunter Biden responded to the release of these recent records by the committee, his lawyers saying that these are good faith seed money from the Chinese businessmen. Seed money is to invest in a business. It's to start a business. It's to rent an office. It's to hire people. It's not to parcel out to family members. So I think we're going to see this pattern repeated again and again and again. And just because their lawyers make up, I would argue, terminology as to what the nature of those funds were, we should not be dissuaded, and we need to keep moving forward.
Well, I mean, the point on this program before you all joined me was election interference, Miranda. It doesn't feel like Democrats get in any trouble with election interference. We saw it with the Biden laptop before the election a few years ago, where the FBI worked with Twitter to suppress truth.
Yes, this is their MO. Whenever they're in trouble, whenever there is corruption or some other scandal to cover up, they will just blow smoke on the other side, and particularly when it comes to Donald Trump. I mean, election interference. What better election interference is there that we can see now than the leading candidate for the Republicans is being sort of legally persecuted with these weaponized fake prosecutions, starting off with Alvin Bragg in Manhattan. And of course, the leaks, who knows where they came from, about this upcoming indictment of Donald Trump came 2 weeks ago, just 24 hours after those bank records were revealed by James Comer, a bombshell story, if you ever saw one, in the Hunter Biden laptop saga, and yet it was just buried and disappeared under the avalanche of Trump news.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if the influence peddling is happening as we speak in plain sight. I mean, look at Hunter Biden's artwork displayed among the best out there in New York this week. We don't know who's buying this art, Peter, because they've made a decision to say, oh, well, in the face of all of these questions, we're just not going to say who's the buyer of the art.
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, let's remember in 2019, the Senate Banking Committee issued a report on how the art world was rife with money laundering and corruption. And so Hunter Biden has tapped into an industry where he can accept money in payment for, quote unquote, art at whatever sum they want it to be, and there's no disclosure requirements. And here's the problem. Look, I mean, you can look at the Trump case and you contrast it with the Hunter Biden case. Hunter Biden has already essentially admitted that he committed crimes. I mean, let's remember in 2018, this grand jury was convened. They were looking into tax evasion charges, among other things, involving Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden gets a family friend to pay $2 million to the IRS, basically an admission that he didn't pay taxes he was supposed to. That's not a defense against tax evasion. And yet here we are 3 years later. The media is not interested in that story. They're not interested in the other things that the grand jury was looking at. So it's a stunning disconnect with the mainstream media.
And the other things include that everybody in the country has seen Hunter Biden smoking illegal crack with a hooker, waving an illegal gun obtained illegally, and that came and went as well. Miranda, final word from you at this point. What should we be focused on this week as Trump gets ready to surrender?
Well, I don't think that we should be losing sight of all the scandals and disasters of the Biden administration. This is just, again, allowing Joe Biden to hide in the basement. He becomes more popular the less people see of him. And obviously this is the MO for the Democrats for the upcoming 2024 election. They just want to soften up, damage, distract, Donald Trump. I mean, that of course galvanizes the base for him and probably ensures that he wins the nomination. But then they will just, the entire campaign will be filled up with negative legal stories about him and allowing Joe Biden to hide away as the sort of the perfect clean skin.
Yeah, it's the same as when President Trump was in office and he had to constantly be on defense saying, I did not collude with Russia. He should have been focused on China, which he was. It was incredible how much he got done, even while constantly defending he didn't collude with Russia.
I'm still reporting from just outside the citadel of world freedom. Good day.